What's going on, Action Army?
What's happening, guys? Welcome to the show. Welcome to the official Action Army show.
Welcome to the most important hour of your life this week. If you're not watching this show, you're probably a Jackass or a Lion's Den fan.
Yeah, guys, it's basically a fucking call to action. Just kidding, it's exactly what it is, okay? This is the intro to Call to Action, the single most important piece of content you're going to ingest in the next 7 minutes.
If you love Action Army and you love Ben and Drew, then this is the place to be. And if you don't love us, well, then fuck you.
Go buy a suit, get it fitted, get the pants tailored so the length is just right and the break of your pants looks fantastic, get a bottle of Jameson, and get on fucking board.
Peace out.
What's up, assholes? Welcome back to the Call to Action podcast. I'm James.
And I'm Danny.
Hey, it's Melissa.
And I think we have a new voice with us today. Would you care to introduce yourself?
Hi, everyone. This is Danielle, and I'm from Texas.
Yes, Danielle, who we previewed 12 episodes ago and is only just now making her first appearance, which makes it really special. Lucky episode number 13, which means you may be the one to get us canceled.
Possibly. Yes. That is my reputation.
So other than being from the lovely, very hot state of Texas, how'd you get into the Schmodown? Tell us about yourself.
Yeah, so I'm from Texas. It is hot, yes. I got into the Schmodown probably around 2016, maybe. I honestly can't remember what match it was that I saw. The Schmodown just kind of started in my YouTube rotation where I started watching it and following it and stuff like that. And I think I found it the way most other people found it, through movie fights. And so that was how I found the Schmodown. And I've been a big fan of it ever since. It's been really fun and interesting to see it grow and to see what it's become now. And the league is really cool. They're doing some really good stuff with it. It's really exciting. So that's it.
And follow-up question, how did you fall into our lovely cult of Action Army?
Oh my goodness. I fell in love with Ben and Drew as soon as they came out in their first match. It was amazing. I thought that they were the perfect type of heels, and I love their characters and their personality. And then I was also already a fan of the Action Movie Anatomy podcast on the Popcorn Talk Network. And so seeing them on there was a lot of fun. A lot of fun for me to see them, and I really enjoyed their personalities, and that's what kind of kept me to it. And I've been a loyal Action Army member since day one, man.
Hell yes.
Hell yeah.
Now that formalities are out of the way, do you guys want to get into the matches, or do you guys have anything else you want to preview beforehand?
Let's carry on.
Carry on, my wayward son. Yes. Right, so the first match we have is the Mike Kalinowski versus Mark Donica match. And before we get too far into it, I do want to point out that, despite, hosting a Action Army podcast, Mike Kalinowski has the best entrance song. I used to drive to and from school every day, blaring Friction and max volume, nearly busting the windows out of my car. It is that great of a song, and I am so happy that one of my new favorite competitors is using it in his new intro.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Mike Kalinowski's heel turn. I like what he's doing with the character. It's really cool to see him spice it up. I'm a big fan of this anarchy thing that's going to go on right now.
And I think he just gets better and better.
Yeah.
The more time he steps away from the keyboard and more of it, like, putting the effort into his matches and his character in front of this camera.
For sure.
Okay. Well, so I'm going to say the same thing that Ben has said before, and that's basically that Kalinowski is a poser. He is trying to be like Team Action. He will never be Team Action. I am a fan of the anarchy thing. I I think the Kalinowski controlling Thad thing is starting to wear a little thin for me personally. Like, I kind of feel like, let's see where this is going. Let's get to a point. Let's get to the let's get to the point here. Like, I can't like survive it going the whole year long. So hopefully they do reach a end point at some time frame. I was really surprised about this match. I thought Donica would wipe the floor with him. So I will say that Kalinowski, while I'm not like thrilled with him necessarily as a competitor, he impressed me with his performance.
I want to bring back a little old running joke. We haven't done this since the Patriots played last. Boo.
Are you booing me?
Yes, I'm booing you. You can't hate on Kalinowski like that. It doesn't matter if he's trying to be team action. You love team action. I'm all for any more team action.
No, like for real though, I am happy that he's more involved with the storyline and the storylines. Like I said, I do like the anarchy thing. But I liked good Kalinowski too. Like I missed the Captain America outfit. He was just perfect for it. So I would like to see him return to his rightful place, but oh well.
Who needs Captain America when you have Nomad, a man without a country? And he grows the beard out. Come on.
Danny?
I mean, my thoughts are, I like my boys bad, so I like he'll. Yeah, I mean, he used to be really annoying, and I used to not really like his character. But since the heel turn and the storyline, it's become one of my favorites of the season so far. I'm still not really like the whole Innergeekdom tournament thing. It's kind of just been drawn out a little bit too much.
Mm-hmm.
But no, it's cool, and yeah, definitely the entrance. I say time and time again, I am an Imagine Dragon, but every time I do hear that song, I do get a little bit of a fist pump moment. So I'm with you there, James.
You're like Henry Cavill in the bathroom, just cocking your fists, ready for battle.
Yeah, sand the CGI mustache though, grow it.
See, even Henry Cavill is willing to take a heel turn and grow out the mustache and the beard. Come on, Melissa, get on the trend.
Okay, well.
Is there anything we want to actually talk about within the match, though?
I think I'm the only one who actually brought up the match, so there you go.
Yeah, honestly, like I think Danny touched on it. Like I'm not big on the Innergeekdom tournament myself, and I bring that up every episode. But I think honestly, the biggest thing that's come out of this match for me is listening to the rundown today at work. I think it was Brad who said that he thinks Adam will hold the Innergeekdom belt by the end of the year. And I don't know what he's smoking, but I want some of that because there's on top of this performance and with the just the massive strength of I'll call out Inman, Cushing, and Kalinowski now. I don't think anyone else has a chance at the belt.
Oh well, he gets my respect. Kenju Guy's going to become a single champion. So
True.
You know, Ben can do it too once he gets his debut.
Ben can get it too.
Yeah.
I mean, I really have a lot of respect for Adam, and I feel like he's kind of one of these dark horse characters that, like, I mean, he came out and he beat Hector pretty handily, and I think if he has a good match, like, he could probably beat just about anybody, but I can't see him beating Inman, but I could see him beating really any of the other three if he has a really good match and they have a okay match. I could see him maybe getting to that kind of upper echelon, but it would take a lot for me to think he could beat Jason Inman.
Yeah, I think Jason Inman is going to keep the belt.
Yeah.
I think overall Jason Inman is going to keep it. I think he's a great competitor and he knows his stuff and He keeps his head in the game, and he does get kind of rattled from time to time. You definitely can get under his skin, but I think he has a way of getting over it sometimes. And I think he just dominates that league, and I like him. So, but I think he's gonna keep it.
Yeah, speaking of rattled, Donica posted on the main page about his performance. He was talking about that he had like a panic attack. Um, I guess that's something in topics very often. You know, the difficulties of the competitors, especially maybe they're not used to being under the lights, and then so I think it was a really cool thing that he kind of like spoke out and said, you know, I was nervous because watching that match game and the Star Wars where he's usually his strength, you know, he was. It looked like he kind of was just falling apart, and then the whole running off the stage, you know, at the end was kind of like a weird sign. So, does anyone have any thoughts about just that kind of overall the pressure that maybe the competitors might be going through?
I can imagine it's a lot. It's especially having to hold up a character and you know, like a specific type of entertainment that they're doing, and I'm sure that they have certain things that they know that they want to do and kind of vibes that they want to get across, and you know, panic attacks are no joke. And so I thought it was nice of him to kind of go out there and express himself. And but I honestly didn't really notice anything during the match when I was watching it. There wasn't anything that was really other than him being off of his game, but there was nothing that I saw that was like something's wrong.
Yeah. I don't know, like, good for him for kind of, I mean, he didn't have to come out and tell anyone anything.
Right.
And, you know, I'm glad that he felt comfortable enough to post what he posted. And not to question anything. I thought that, like, the camera being where it was able to follow him as he ran off it felt like really convenient. Like, and maybe the camera work was just really good. Like, they were able to kind of catch it all in kind of one shot, and maybe it's just really good camera work. But, like, I remember even watching the match before he even posted anything. I remember thinking, like, well, that was a convenient shot. Like, this must have been kind of in the works. And so, I mean, I don't know what was or wasn't kind of planned ahead of time, if he lost, in the case that he lost. But I would be interested to see, like, if it was just like whoever was running the cameras were just really good at catching a really raw moment, or I don't know.
If I were to just estimate, it looked like it was the camera that normally caught people as they were entrancing. So more often, or seemingly to me, it was just to use that camera and track them, assuming it was part of a storyline. Because I can't imagine they tell everybody on set what the story is going to be. So like, oh, he's running off, and maybe he destroyed it on it, so they tracked him. So I would say it's more just a deft cameraman than anything else.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I guess I just to summarize it, you know, I'm glad that that he addressed his problem, and he reached out, and there are a lot of people that were supporting him behind the scenes and during. So, Eddie is an Action Army member, so you know we just want to wish him the best. So
Yeah, and he's been pretty active lately
and,
too. So
Yeah, and I don't want to break character too much, but everyone involved in the call to action show, we all have varying level. We all have varying degrees of anxiety, and we all tackle it our own different ways. So we understand the sort of troubles Donica's going through as much as we can. So, despite me and Melissa booing the Lions Den and being against him as a character, we all want to be there and be incredibly supportive for not only Donica, but expanding to a larger idea. People who deal with this kind of anxiety and don't have the methods of support that he does.
No, and the good news is you don't have to boo the Lions Den because he's part of the Knights of Ken now. So
Yes.
we still don't know who's going to be the rest of or anything like that, but more in the gray side of things now.
I forget. In the post-match interview, does Ken say that they're backing Kalinowski?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you know what? Heels gonna look out for each other, unless you're Tom Dagnino, in which case no one likes you.
Are the Knights of Ken? I mean, I don't really know. Like Danny said, are they gray? Are they? I mean, I don't know, and I don't know. I don't know if Ken's planning to recruit Kalinowski, or maybe Ken is sucking up to Kalinowski. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see where that goes.
I think
Yeah.
more than anything else, it could just result in favorable placement in Anarchy on Friday.
True.
Yeah. But hey, it's heels looking out for each other because they're attacked a lot by the community. So it could just be like this little acknowledgement of, hey, we may fight, but in the end, I got your back. So he can backstab him. So he can backstab him like he backstabbed Rachel.
He
That's
has
what I thought
backstabbed everybody.
Yeah, that's what I thought he was going to do to the Lions Den. I was really hoping that the storyline was going to go that way and Ken was going to be like this undercover agent and just kind of trying to destroy him from the inside out. But I'm glad that the Lions Den is broken up. I am a fan of the Patriots, though. I love me some Jeff Snyder.
Ooh.
Yes.
Yay, Danny!
I'm a big fan
We
of Jeff
almost like
Snyder.
Danielle.
Yeah.
Almost.
No,
This is why we're
Danny's
getting
my
canceled.
favorite.
This is
No,
why we're
that's
getting
why
canceled.
Danny's my favorite.
I am a big fan of Jeff Snyder, and I'm really glad that the Lions Den is done. It's over. But I thought they had a really good run as the biggest heels and the loudest heels in the league for a while, and now it's definitely Action Army, Team Action's biggest heel time to be here. And yes, Lions Den is out. Knights of Ken, I am down for it.
Yep.
Any further comments on the match?
No.
All right. So let's get to a match that I'm looking forward to covering. Emma 5 versus Mara Kanopik. I have very big thoughts on this match. Hashtag big thoughts. So if you guys want to take control before I just get us canceled.
I love Mara's personality. I like her on screen. I like that a lot. James, I know that you like the big theatrics and the big personalities and stuff like that, but I love a chilled out competitor, man. So I really like her, and I'm glad that she took it. I thought she wasn't going to get it for a little bit, but she got back on her game for sure.
Yeah, I'm to piggyback off Danielle. Mara's quickly growing to be one of my new brown dwarf stars in the league. Awkwardness and that she's kind of just this chilled, kind of like real kind of a nerd, but she's like really kind of just smart. I like how the fact she's kind of just like, oh, there's nothing good to watch on FX, so that's why I decided to come in. And but yeah, I was a little worried about her in her first round, but
I was glad that she used her JTE. Like, even though she used 2 of her JTE rules in the first round, I feel like most people don't take advantage of it. I know that there's 3 of them, but and I know that it's because most people use it to stall for time, like more towards the end of the game, for that time. But I like that she used it in the beginning, because if you can't get through the first and second round, then you're just going to lose those in the third round when you could have gained points or something like that because you didn't hear a question right. So I thought that was smart for her, and I'm glad that she did that.
yeah, and the second JT rule she used worked to her advantage to get the Lord of the Rings answer right. So she did use them wisely, I believe. But going forward, her against Rachel is going to be a kind of a tough matchup, especially if Rachel is as hot as and perfect like she's been the last two matches. So, but I'm really expecting finally to see like good competition in this tournament so far, because my overall thoughts of the whole thing has been kind of boring and let down kind of thing. But Melissa, you have any thoughts?
Yeah. So I think I said the last time that I had talked about Mara was just that, like, even without seeing her and Dan together, like, they were just like my favorite couple ever, just kind of judging by her personality and knowing Dan's already, obviously, but just seeing her personality, it was just like they fit together perfectly. My only concern with her, I don't really have anything about the match too much, other than my only concern with her is, and I don't know if it's a defense mechanism or if it's serious, but I feel like you can be lackadaisical about it, but you kind of have to have the fire in your belly. Like, you can, like, if you look at, for example, like a Jason Inman versus Hector Navarro, like, Hector, he was very la-di-da about it. He was very like, I'm just here to have fun and blah, blah, blah. And like, I don't think he was ever super, super like into the competition. Whereas Jason, obviously, like, this was his destiny, this was his passion, and he had that fire in his belly. And I think that was the difference between Hector and Jason when it came to the belt. And when I look forward to like Mara and Rachel, I see Rachel as more a Jason Inman type who, I mean, really, really wants this. And Mara, I think, has a great knowledge. I think she could probably get by on knowledge for a very good amount of time. But, you know, I don't know how much she wants it, or like I said, how much of it is her just kind of playing a part and being kind of being this kind of personality, and maybe deep down she really does like want it as much as everyone else does. So I don't know. When it comes to Mara versus Cushing, I kind of give Cushing the edge because I feel like Cushing has the drive for it a little bit more than Mara does.
Yeah, I think Rachel is a very good competitor. I think it's going to be a really, really good match. So I'm very much looking forward to it, but I hope it swings in Mara's way.
Me too. I'm rooting for her.
Yeah. But
Plus,
I would love to see Rachel's entrance for that. I'm sorry, but I would love to see Rachel's entrance for that match. That one, I think that's going to be fun.
yeah, and her Efron cutout was kind of funny. So she kind of brought a little
That was
bit
pretty
of
funny.
kind of like a nerdy, kind of like awkward humor.
Yeah, I
It's
like
just kind of like I like that she's just kind of just like odd, like an oddball kind of character. But
Yeah, like the
yeah,
kind of person who carries
Evan
around cutouts of Zac Efron.
yeah, so it's like I thought that was perfect for her.
This was her second match.
Is
that correct?
So yeah.
Yeah, and she already she's 2-0 and a TKO.
She has two knockouts.
Two
Two
She knocked out.
TKOs.
Yeah,
Dang.
she got knocked out Koi and.
Yeah. Did we lose James? Is he?
No,
I'm
he's
waiting
waiting. He's
so I can
very
interject that one
patiently.
of the game.
Yes, he is very patiently waiting while we finish talking about the match.
I'm just
so he can
scrolling
get
through
his 2
Twitter.
cents.
Yeah, James is ready for his hot take. Not so hot take.
Oh no, this is a hot take.
Yeah.
Unleash the Kraken. Let's go.
Mara is overrated. And I say this with stats backed behind it. Her current average right now is 67%. That is incredibly low for someone who we expect to be a champion. I will admit, she's playing the hell out of the game, and her steal accuracy is great. However, I don't imagine that she's going to make it any farther than the next round. Especially since, I mean, let's be honest here, of all 3 other competitors, Mike gave himself the easiest person. And I fully expect Rachel to beat Mara, purely because of the fact of looking at her accuracy. I don't think she deserves the hype that she's getting. I will also admit, though, that I think her knowledge isn't reflected in her accuracy. But within the Schmodown, she doesn't have as good of a record as everyone says that she does.
I think you should give her some time.
Oh, absolutely. I think, like, the second she beats Rachel is the second I start, like, I retract that statement. Because, I mean, look at who she's faced so far. She's faced Koi, who, as great of a guy he is, does not have a good record in his Schmodown. And she faced
That Spider-Man
Emma,
food.
who... No. So I think, just like how everyone said that we don't know how to judge Stacey and Janine until they face Andreiko, we'll see how she really holds up in her match against Rachel.
Yeah. Do you want to discuss your kind of thoughts on the match or her competitor?
I have, like,
Do
just
we want to go
one
into that?
general thought about the match. If you guys have anything else you want to add, so we can transition into the next match with my hashtag big thoughts.
Yeah, really quickly. I am still and will always fight for a Disney Pixar Innergeekdom. If we have a Star Wars, we should have a Disney Pixar one. That's it.
Agreed.
I would honestly just settle for like a Disney Iron Man match.
Oh man.
Maybe even that's just like an exhibition match.
Realistically, just Pixar, because Disney's so broad. I feel like
Yeah.
it could go into like Star Wars territory, but I think if it's just Pixar, that's a really good exhibition match. I think.
Well, a Pixar exhibition match would be incredibly deep cut, and I would be all for it.
Heck yes.
Or a Disney Golden Age Iron Man. It's like, 1980s, like Beauty and the Beast, Little Mermaid, Pocahontas, like
No, I think
era. That would be cool.
That's Renaissance. Golden Age is like 1950s, like Cinderella.
Sorry, right.
Era.
Sorry. Yeah, you're right. I was misspeaking. But yeah, that's what I meant. The Disney Renaissance.
Yeah. Everyone say thank you, the Great Mouse Detective. Okay. Anyways, back to the match.
Do y'all want to pepper in anything? How do you guys think they did? Or do I just need to make everyone think I'm a sexist pig?
Go to the
We'll go with that.
Big Fox.
You guys suck. Okay. So, I was like to preface this. I don't hate women. As much as I'm like really poo-pooing this match, I swear. But Emma is a big fat cheater. If you guys go back and thank you. If you guys go back and listen to or watch the first question of the first round, she's seen looking at Mara's answer or whiteboard. Granted, she still got the question wrong, so we can't exactly prove if she was looking or was just thinking to the left or whatever. But I think it's an issue we need to talk about, because I forgot which match she did it in, but she did it before. It may have been in a J match, maybe against Janine. I honestly don't remember. I probably should have researched that before the show. Okay, thank you.
It's Janine's.
Yes, but either way, we have evidence that this is a recurring theme within not a character but a person. So I think it needs to be addressed and it needs to be punished. Whether that be, actually no, let's just feel it out there. What do you guys feel on the matter? And how do you think it should be addressed?
Can I say the return of justice spot, and we can do another trial of Emma Fife? As long as we get Hal Rednick's justice spot, I'm completely on board with that. I would like to think, so the better part of me would like to think that she's just kind of a person that naturally wants to see if the other person is done writing and is kind of just seeing like if they're done writing, and I hope that that's the case, that she's just like seeing if she's done writing. That way they can move on to the answer. I mean, I don't know. I think it doesn't look good. I think someone should probably talk to her and tell her to stop. But I mean, as far as punishment, I don't know, because I mean, I don't even know when Emma would really even be able to compete again. So a punishment would almost be kind of, if you suspend her, what are you suspending her for? She's probably not going to be competing for a while. So, I mean, I don't know. Okay. So that's my thoughts.
Sorry, my dog just fell. I'm so sorry. He's okay. Good boy. You're okay, bud. Yeah.
The dog is an MFI fan.
Yeah. That's questionable. But I totally agree, Melissa. I agree with you. I feel like I have the tendency to look over sometimes. I know there's times where I've taken tests and maybe just like looked over without the intention of cheating. So I can kind of see how that happens. I do think that maybe it should be asked and addressed. And I totally agree with you saying that it should be addressed there and be like, hey, like, it doesn't look good. People are saying stuff. And, you know, if she was cheating, then this is kind of like her getting caught. And she can learn from it and maybe not do it again because you got caught if you did do it. So, but I totally agree with you, Melissa, 100%.
I'm not a sexist pig, yay.
No, James, I do not think that you are.
Or we just all hate women. That could happen too.
You didn't call her confident or cocky, so you're off the hook there.
Oh, man.
We are just so bitchy today. I mean,
So
mostly
James,
me,
what
but
would
still.
your because like I was saying, like I don't know what punishment could fit the crime necessarily. So what are your thoughts on holding her accountable?
I would say, honestly, the best thing to do would probably just to say, okay, Emma, pen down. Like, only her. Saying, like, if we see her peeking over, she has to stop writing. Well, the only issue
Okay.
is that could be very, like, oh, I wasn't actually looking over, or something like that. And any competitor could do that. So it really just comes down to either honor code or just wasting a challenge on it.
Yeah.
But she's kind of a shitty cheater too because she didn't get the answer right anyway. So
Well, neither did Mara. That's the issue.
I'm just saying the other time too.
Oh yeah. Competitors should start just writing really, really badly if they're against Emma, so she can't cheat off them.
Yeah, I guess my thought on it is that while it looks really bad on her, especially because, you know, there's video evidence of her just like, you know, also, you know, I do want to try to give her the benefit of the doubt, but, you know, it's one thing if it was, I mean, it's one thing if it was just a regular tournament, like a regular match, but the fact that it's like in a tournament and stuff and it could make a difference, that's where I have issues. And it's not just about Emma, but just in general. If, like, they should at least have somebody kind of monitoring and making sure that they're not doing anything that's kind of sketchy. Because, I mean, Roka's known to do that, too. He's notorious for trying to, like, play against the rules and stuff. But because they're fan favorites, they think that they can kind of get away with things. So if, in fact, that she's just trying to use her favoritism, like, for her favor, then that needs to be addressed. Maybe, like, not really dock her because she's not really valuable to, like, the league or anything, but maybe, like, to somebody, like, on her club.
Right. One more final note before we move on. And I think this is the real reason that Emma Fyfe lost. There is only one Daenerys of the House Targaryen, the first of her name. The Unburnt, the Breaker of Chains, the Mother of Dragons. Khaleesi of the Great Grass Sea, Queen of the Andals, the Rhoynar, and the First Man. You cannot be Khaleesi. There is only one. And with
You feel
me
better
being-
now?
Yes, with me being a massive cringeworthy nerd, we can move on to the last match of the week. Keaton Marchi versus Adam Lavick. Yeah, like I said, I don't expect Adam to get very far, so this match was very null to me. Other than the fact that it's just validating my surprise from last time when Keaton won her match. And again, I don't hit women, I swear.
You don't hit them or hate them?
Both.
Good, solid answer. Good, solid, quick answer, James.
It's like that episode in Friends where I think Joey needs girl advice, where it's like is she pretty? No. Is she better than me? No. Like
No.
you gotta have that quick response ready.
No.
Yeah, you're no Zach Morris, because we all know Zach Morris is trash.
Oh, Zach Morris is
This is
trash.
trash.
Oh man, so good.
Oh god, I'm so young.
Okay, so moving. Oh, go ahead.
I'm so sorry. I love that Keaton
Nope.
comes out in mouse ears. It's so sweet.
But who needs faces, right? It's all about the heel game. That's why so many people like Emma Fyfe, right?
Because she's a face.
Because she's a heel.
Oh, because she's a heel. Man, I still can't see Emma as a heel.
Boo.
I don't.
She's like a low-key heel.
She's not low-key about it.
She does throw some shade. But I don't know. I've never pictured Emma as a heel.
I mean, say what
Okay,
you will
sorry.
about, Andrew murdering people, or, Cal, or I think probably Dan Murrell stole Cal. That's still my hashtag conspiracy theory. But only real terrible bastards cheat on an online movie trivia competition.
You think Dan stole Cal?
Yes, I did. He stole Cal to get Ben and Riley, or at least Ben, out of the office for the day, so that Andrew would go in alone.
No way. If anything, it's Dale the dude that stole it, because he's bitter that he was a part of the 5 horse seamen.
The horse semen, yes.
Yeah. I'll blame Dale.
Wait, has Danielle not heard that one yet?
Okay, moving on to the match. Back to the match.
Yeah.
So I am not as down on Adam Hlavik as James is. I think he could beat Kalinowski. Now saying that, like, after seeing Kalinowski's performance in his last match, I think it's probably Kalinowski's to win. But prior to the last match, I probably would have said it was pretty close to even. So, but like I said, I think Adam Hlavik could beat almost about anybody if he has a really good match. So, just depending on what gets spun, what the round 3 categories are, stuff like that, I think it could be close.
Yeah, I like Adam as a competitor. I think he's going to do very well. I think he has maybe the biggest shot to get to Kalinowski, but I do think that Kalinowski would win. So there's that. But I do think that he had a really great performance in this match, and I was really, really kind of sad for Keaton. I was looking forward to her. I like her, and I wanted to see her do well. So that first round was just hurting my heart.
Yeah, that first match, the first round was very much like a stab to my heart. There are some answers in there that I was just like, I couldn't believe she kind of missed. But again, I think that's the difference between someone who's like new and maybe not really like fully invested in the actual game part. But they just come in and have fun and stuff. But you saw her kind of just lose kind of like her steam, and she kind of just like it looked like she wasn't really even into the match after that. But I wouldn't
Right.
blame her, because if I at one point at the end of the round one, I probably would have just been kind of over it myself. But I like Keaton, the character. I like that she's like bubbly arrow shade, but it kind of doesn't really work on her. But it's still kind of cute. I think she's like the dollar discount version of like Stacey Howard. So I mean, I think she's really cool.
Credit.
Dollar discount.
No.
Sorry.
I will say though, she's a better she could be a lot worse. She could have pulled a Snyder and just given up once she realized how few points she had.
Oh yeah.
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 I mean, though, I'm just saying that she tried to. She's so sweet, and she tries to be sassy, but like her sweetness doesn't like work. It doesn't gel. She should just stick to wearing her Mickey Mouse ears, because it's really like. She should just. I don't want her to try so hard to like throw shade when she doesn't really need to. So just.
Mm.
I love how like for all the conversation about these matches, like we barely talk about the actual matches.
I mean, well, I think that just summarizes how most people feel about this tournament whole thing.
Yeah.
I mean, there's really nothing kind of like to stand out about, and that's why like it kind of just dragged out. I mean, we got a few people that are pretty cool that have debuted and stuff and kind of like shown, but I still don't feel like this whole thing was necessary. And it's just kind of
the matches themselves have not been particularly like barn burners. So I mean, like, even though Danny, like you said, like there's personalities that we're getting that we like to talk about, the matches have been kind of, I don't want to say boring. They're not boring, but they're just like, they're usually pretty decisive. They're not like nail biters. And so maybe this next two matches will balance things out a little bit. Maybe we'll get to like really like head-to-head like behemoth matches. I don't know.
For me, it does seem like they were trying to get away from like the 5-way matches. I feel like they were doing that for the Innergeekdom tournament for a long time, and I think they needed a way to transition out of that and do it in a fun way. I feel like that's probably why they brought in the whole corruption storyline, to get away from the 5-way matches. I wasn't the biggest fan of the 5-way matches. I like the one-on-one matches. I do feel like this tournament so far has been pretty bland, and pretty decisive in the matches. But I am glad that they went away from the 5-way matches and stuff like that.
Yeah, I honestly, I really agree with what all of you have said so far. The only thing really pulling me through this tournament is Kalinowski. Again, as much as I just shit on him these past couple weeks prior to his heel turn, he is just making this tournament so much more watchable.
Yeah, I agree.
I think another like thing that like an interesting topic would be, after all of this, like if Mara went forward and if she beat Cushing, if she beat Kalinowski or Hlavik, like the fact that Cushing has been around for so long and that the Innergeekdom has been her like her baby for so long, for Mara to just come in and be able to kind of like run the table, like that'd be it'd be like kind of hard for kind of like soul crushing for her. But it would be an interesting viewpoint to see kind of this newbie take down the old guard. Even though she's overrated according to James, but I disagree.
I'm going by the facts.
We
All right,
just feel
Janice.
it. We're going with our feelings.
Call me #baby Jenga. Or the guy who needs the hashtag shut up.
We'll go with this.
Hashtag.
So, what's everyone's predictions of Inman will be facing by the time this is all said and done?
I know my answer, but it's a long one, so you guys go ahead.
I will say, logically, I'll say Rachel. I'd love to see it be Mara. So I'm going to let my heart overrule my logic, and I'm going to say Mara. But we'll see.
Yeah, I'm the same on that, but the opposite. Instead of Mara, Kalinowski. I really would like to see Kalinowski get a shot at that belt. He's worked so hard for it. He's acted his little butt off for it. So I think he deserves it, and a daytime Emmy for his performance in this league for this year. It's amazing. So, but I do agree. I think Rachel will get there. I think Rachel's been working really hard to get there. She really does take this very seriously, it seems like personally and seriously. So she's put her heart and soul into this tournament, and I think that she's going to try really hard to get there. And it'll be interesting to see if she does get knocked down and it is someone else. But if it does go to Rachel and Inman, I still think it's going to be Jason Inman.
All right, so I agree with Daniel.
Yeah, at this point,
go ahead, Danny.
At this point, I don't see anybody who's going to face Inman at the live show beating him. Again, like what Daniel said, I do think Rachel definitely deserves it because she's worked on basically her weaknesses. She's improved in Star Trek. So she's very much well-rounded. But in terms of who I really want to win, I also want to see Kalinowski take it. That's all I have to say. But I don't think anybody's going to beat Inman.
Yeah.
None of these.
I'm sorry, Melissa, but you're 1-3. I also think Kalinowski should and will win this, but for totally different reasons. Because I know it was posted on the page. I'm not sure how much you guys saw, but at the last live events, there was a moment where Kalinowski, in full heel character, trounced around the entire venue and was watching the screen when his heel turn happened in the action match. And it would just feel like such an amazing redemptive arc if at the next live event he got to go full circle and come back with a vengeance and prove himself in front of everybody. And honestly, I feel like he has the best chance of beating Inman, only because I don't believe they've played yet. And he has the ability to rattle him. Because, like I think Melissa said earlier, Mara doesn't have that sort of strong personality that I don't think Inman will be intimidated by. He's already beaten Rachel, and Adam's not getting there. I think Kalinowski has the best chance of beating Inman purely because of the mind games.
Yeah, I agree with that because I think Jason Inman is a little shaky when it comes to mind games, but I don't think Kalinowski would do that. I think Kalinowski is too much of a respectable player. I know that he's going for that, but I think just even though he is a character, still when they're up there, they know these people and they're competing, and he's still going to try to bring his best game in his own way. And I just like to think that Mike Kalinowski as a person wouldn't try to really dig into Jason Inman the way that it would get him to disrupt his game, because like you have to play really dirty and mean and ugly to get into Jason Inman's brain like that. I think he can handle trash talk, but I don't think Kalinowski will dig that deep into it.
And we all know how Rachel acts for a live audio. Even if fans, I don't think her it up. I mean, she's gonna not. She is gonna have Emma to back her up, but she won't have Clark Wolf to be her partner this time.
Right. And with that, I think we're gonna end this first half off. We will see you guys on the other side of the break, where we will be counting down our top 5 comic book movies. Catch you on the flip side.
Hello, guys. Welcome to the in-between segment. This is a transition for you and all the wonderful listeners of the show.
Some people might even call this a commercial. So since it's a commercial, we're going to promote a couple things that you should check out. Check out patreon.com/teamaction, as well as Wednesdays.
You can find us on the Action Movie Anatomy official show on the Popcorn Talk Network. Do you feel we're being serene? We certainly do.
Also, we're going to kick the shit out of every other Schmodown team in the entire league. Oh, here comes the next segment. See you in a minute.
Roka's a choker.
Bye.
And welcome back from the break. Like we said before, right now we'll be covering the top 5 comic book movies in honor of one of the figureheads in our community, John Schnepp. Danny, did you have anything you wanted to say about him?
Yeah, I mean, of course, it's very tragic to see, we look upon the whole Schmodown community and almost like a small kind of extension of our family kind of thing. And I know we come here we kind of gained a lot of new friends and stuff like that. So yeah, it's very sad. Especially it was the week of Comic-Con stuff. But I know that talking about comics and stuff like that is going to continue his honor. So we figured we'd get a little extra sweaty and dedicate our segment towards John Schnepp, thoughts and well wishes to Holly and his family right now. So this is for you, John.
Right. And just to explain how we're going to be doing this segment, we're going to be doing it in a very simple format. First up, we'll have Danny. He'll give his 5 and 4, and then Melissa, and then me, and then Danielle. And then after that, we'll give our 3 and our 2, and then we all round off with our number 1s at the very end. And like I said, Danny's going to start. So Danny, what is your number 5?
Coming at number 5, I have Scott Pilgrim vs. the World.
Hell yeah, brother.
And number 4, I have a very surprising list. I don't think a lot of people have this. It's a 2001 indie film starring Scarlett Johansson and Steve Buscemi. It's called Ghost World.
Right. So let's just Scott Pilgrim first, and that's your number 5. I have it as my number 2. So I obviously love it. Danielle, Melissa, how do you guys feel about it?
Ghost World was going to be in my top 5, Danny. We are soulmates. So Ghost 5 did run as number 6. I was trying to make a list down, and Ghost World was number 6 on my list. So I like it. And Thora Birch is in that movie also.
Oh, yes. Yeah, of course. She played Enid, and yeah, it was one of the breakthrough performances. Very similar to our American Beauty role, but yeah, I loved that movie. I just rewatched it again, and it still holds up very much to me.
I'm trying to dig for something specific because I know how Melissa feels about Scott Pilgrim. and I want to get into it.
I'm trying to be respectful here and let you guys.
Do it for Emperor Palpatine.
Here's my problem with Scott Pilgrim. Okay, so like I feel like most people, not most people,
Who's ready?
some people understand. Some people understand that these people are not supposed to be good people. Like they're supposed to be kind of like garbage, and which would be fine if people understood that that was the point of the movie. Except for you don't. You have people that actually like lust like that they lust after that kind of like love, and like Ramona's their dream girl, or like Scott Pilgrim is their like spirit animal, like they want to be just like him. And so like to me, like I can appreciate it as a sort of tongue-in-cheek, like, look how crappy these people are. But most people don't view it that way. Most people view it as like this nerd dream that they want to live in. And so that is why I just cannot stand it. So, but congratulations, Scott Pilgrim, for making these top 5 lists. Woohoo. Good for you.
Boo. In all seriousness, I enjoy your very thought out response. But it's such a great movie. Like, I can say personally, I have like 4 or 5 movies that if I have a really bad day, or if I'm coming off of like an anxiety attack or something, I go right to them to calm me down. And Scott Pilgrim is really high up there. It's in my top 10 films of all time, which really gives you like shows you the cloud of what comic book movies are to people. And to me, I'm just gonna be emphatic about it because it's my number 2. It's such a unique film. It's a film that I don't think we've ever seen anything really close to it. There are films that do want to like emulate either the anime or the video game style, but Scott Pilgrim like bridges that gap so deftly and amazingly. I can't imagine a movie that does it better than it. While his printer goes off.
Yeah, and I saw what makes it such a great movie to me is just how quotable it is, and just like you can just kind of like throw it in whenever, have it in the background. I saw it in the theater, so again, that kind of was like the experience of it. I know like it's become over time more of a cult following and stuff, but I actually saw it in theaters with a couple of friends. I had no idea anything about Scott Pilgrim. Like I never read any of the comics and stuff before that, so I came in there and like you said, James, it was just such a unique and fun movie. You know, the characters are not really not always likable. Scott's an ass, but we got Chris Evans, we got
Brie
Captain
Larson.
Marvel, Brie Larson. So we have 2 superheroes before there were superheroes in that movie.
We also had Brandon Routh, who was Superman for
Superman Returns. Yeah.
Bryan Singer.
So yeah, just the cultural effect of it, just like all the young stars. We got Aubrey Plaza. So Aubrey Plaza. So.
And something I think you sort of skimmed over, but it's actually really important. It is so goddamn funny. Like it's endlessly quotable. There's bread makes you fat, or chicken isn't vegan, or all these other food-based puns. Or like one of my favorite gifs to use is Scott jumping out of the window with his gay roommate. I'm forgetting his name. Crap. Like sort of blocking him with the door. Like there's just so many like little nuggets of comedic brilliance in that movie.
Was it with a W like
Wallace?
Yeah. Yeah, I just like shut the fuck up, Julie. I love that whole scene. And then like
with the 13 evil axes, it's 7. Oh, well that's not bad.
All right. So do we want to go on to Melissa's?
Please do. Otherwise, I'll quote
now?
it all day.
Okay.
Okay, so for my number 5, in honor of John Schnepp, it's going to be Transformers 4: Age of Extinction. No, that's a joke. Just a joke.
I
Okay,
was just
so
gonna
my
say,
real
if it's a
number
comic
5.
book movie, that was my first gripe.
Well, it's an adaptation of a. Is it a graphic novel? I don't think it's a.
It's an adaptation of a TV series that was based on toys.
Well, I know that, but I was thinking that there was some comics or something made of it, but maybe not. Anyway, so you'll see that I stretch the rules of this game anyway.
A little bit, yeah.
So number 5 is something that really did start on the page, which is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2: Secret of the Ooze. And of the 5 that I chose, this one is kind of the one I think most I can like feel like the presence of page to screen. And it could be, and I'm showing my age right now, but it's just kind of the practical effects of the turtles that you can actually feel how it started out as a drawing on the page and kind of became a real thing. So that is my number 5. And number 4, which I don't know if anyone else has that on their list, so I'll kind of like feel it out, but it's my favorite MCU movie, but ironically not the highest rated in this list. But it's Captain America: Civil War is my number 4. And so yeah, that's it. Does anyone else want to talk about Captain America: Civil War? Or you want me to?
I think
Was
we
it
can
on?
all agree that
It
Civil
wasn't
War
on
was
my
a
list.
great film.
Yeah. It didn't make
What?
my top 5.
We can all agree that Civil War is a great film.
It is. Agreed.
And it's
Yeah.
definitely top 5 MCU. Just, I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like this is such a big part of pop culture, especially for that time. It was scrutinized to death, so it sort of ruins it in my mind. Just being aware of all these flaws in it.
Yeah.
I don't know. What are the flaws that you're talking about exactly?
Mostly Zemo's plan, but the big one that always and how it doesn't really have any long-lasting issues because Cap and Tony are still friends. No one and Rhodey's better eventually. Only thing that really changed was it helped set the plot in motion for Ant-Man and the Wasp. Although, the biggest grievance for me, and something I will never forget, is that when Zemo was torturing the guy for December 16th, 1991, he wasn't going to die. His nose was above water. And that's just one detail that's always stuck out to me, and I don't know. I get really anal about small details, and that always just sticks in my mind.
Yeah. I guess for me, which this probably makes me like Kalinowski would say, it probably makes me a sheep, but like for me, the airport scene and then also the Bucky Cap, like Tony scene, like those 2 scenes just kind of like, I don't know, they just kind of they outshone the rest of the film to me, but like in a good way. Like I can remember even less about the rest of the film because those scenes were so epic. So yeah, I don't know, but I would watch Captain America: Civil War. Like I think it's my favorite MCU movie, but yep, that's just me. Turtles, anyone? Turtles?
Yeah, so spoiler
Fair.
alert, Ninja Turtles is actually on my list also. And yeah, so I don't really keep up with comic book movies or like superhero movies really, I guess. They're tomato, I guess. But Captain America: Civil War was probably the first one that I really watched, and I had seen most of them, but I wasn't into the whole franchise for a while, and it was Captain America: Civil War that actually got me into the franchise. Like, I really, really enjoyed that movie, and I enjoy all of the Marvel movies. I like them very, very much. I think they're great. They really are good movies. Like, I don't read comic books. Also, spoiler alert. I'll explain that later. But those movies I think are great, and I'm a big fan of adaptations. And as far as I know, that these movies, Captain America: Civil War, did a pretty good job at it.
And it was the Turtles. I'm really bad with remembering which one it is. Is that the one with the ninja rap in it?
Yes, go Ninja, go Ninja, go! It's Vanilla Ice.
Okay. Yeah. So I
Really,
guess
just
yeah,
pick
the three of
any.
us.
Pick.
The three of us. It's definitely showing our age. Yeah, because
Yeah.
I didn't put that there, but I definitely would have put that as an honorable mention.
The second one
Practical
is definitely the best, Melissa. The best. The second one is
Practical
definitely the
effects
best one out of the
turtles
three.
are better than CGI turtles. Like,
Absolutely.
I'm telling you right now, it's better.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I've never even watched. I didn't even watch the new Turtles. To me, my Turtles is always going to be those old 1990s Ninja Turtle movies.
Yeah, I haven't seen any of the new ones.
And the cartoon, of course.
Yeah.
I feel like was James like born after like that turtle trilogy?
Oh man.
The first and only Turtles movie I have seen is the gritty animated 2006 version, where Shredder wants to turn everyone to stone and go back in time, I think, or so. It's
That's
something
not bad.
weird and stupid.
Oh, I don't think it's bad.
I don't know. I saw like a pirated version of it, so it maybe it was just ruined. But yeah, I haven't seen any of the original Turtles movies.
You should. They're really good.
There's only two things I know. It's the ninja rap,
Mm-hmm.
and Binging with Babish made pizza off of Secret of the Ooze.
Nice.
Right. But if we really want to see how see my age pop out, let's look at my bottom two. My number 5. It's a little bit of a cheat, but that's because I wanted to sort of stray away from most of the mainstream stuff because I was worried about crossover. A Monster Calls, which came out in 2016, and you can see how recent I'm pulling my films. And number 4, to really show it, I have Infinity War. So feel free to tear into me.
I've never seen a Monster Calls, so like how do you explain that as a comic movie?
Okay,
as opposed to it being just a fantasy film. Like, why would you categorize that as a comic book movie instead of like Narnia or something like that? Because when I hear
I'm leaning
Monster Calls,
more as like a graphic novel, because if you read the book, it describes certain characters and dream sequences and stories with beautifully like hand watercolor painted images in the book. So it's not like exactly a graphic novel, but it has enough like repeating pictures in it for me to assume it's one.
Mm-hmm.
But honestly,
So,
it's one of the saddest, most beautiful films I've ever seen. And if you have any sort of heart inside you, you will cry like a baby in those last 5 minutes.
I love movies that make me cry. They're my favorite kinds of movies.
So you should probably watch it then.
I should. I haven't seen it.
There you go.
But I did see Infinity War, and I really liked it.
I really hope you saw it. Otherwise, we're gonna spoil the crap out of it.
Spoilers. Yeah. I enjoyed it very much.
You'll probably see that in my number 3 as well. But movies that can have that sort of strong emotional resonance mean a lot to me. And I cried buckets at Infinity War. So it's always gonna stand out to me as like a very totemic movie, like comic book movie.
Yeah, I cried too, actually.
Yeah. See?
Yeah, I think we all cried.
Oh yeah, definitely.
You better have. Are you kidding me, Spider-Man?
Mr. Stark, I don't feel so good. Oh man. bawling.
Nope, so for me, and I think like I don't want to speak for Helene, but I know this part got her too. But it was like Vision and Wanda, and like when Vision said I love you, which is like, okay, it's a machine, like a machine. How can a machine feel love? But still, he tells her he loves her, and oh my god, I was done. I was like,
yeah,
Brought back to life just to take the stone.
I was definitely crying.
I cried at the part of Bucky and Steve. If anyone knows me, they know that Steve and Bucky is like my favorite thing of the MCU.
But Rocket
So-
in group said, "Dad."
Yeah, that was also very sad. But like when it was like a kind of like a reverse of like when he said Steve and when he disappeared.
Yeah.
It broke my heart.
We're all just gonna start crying.
Well, you see why it's on my list now, because it has that strong emotional power.
Mhm.
And on top of that, it created a fantastic villain. And I saw a statistic online. The only two characters have like more than 10 minutes of screen time in the entire movie are Thanos and Gamora. So I think it's amazing how a film can balance all of its characters so perfectly in this magnificent sprawling story across like different galaxies. And
It did feel well balanced.
as all things should be.
Yeah. Oh man. Yep. There was a little.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. There was a little link online for a while that was like, you just click it and it's like if Thanos snapped you out or not. Did you guys do that?
We did that in the group chat, and I think I was the only one who survived.
I survived.
I died. I died for the good of mankind.
Thank you, Danny. Thank you.
And not to mention, it gave us all those Thanos dick pics that I just love sending to
Oh man, that was a very interesting open when I got to that part of the group chat. I was not there for the initial conversation, and then missed messages. Oh.
And then big purple dong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, James likes to send his unsolicited Thanos dick pics.
Okay, there is nothing wrong with thick, fatty Thanos. It is the dream guy of everybody.
nope.
Okay, Danielle, let's just go to yours before my my purple daddy kink shows.
Before this turns into the group chat.
Oh God, you don't need that.
Okay, so like I said earlier, I'm not necessarily a reader of comics. I like them. I read some comics. I don't read a lot of comics. I definitely don't read superhero comics. I'd like to get into them, but I'm also the type of person that likes to start from the beginning, and there's just so much of it that it's really hard for me to find a place where I feel comfortable diving into. So I decided to make my list a little bit different, and I went with movies that I enjoy very much that are comics. There's one movie on my list that I actually did read the comic, and that is my number 4. So my number 5 and my number 4 are a little weird and off the wall. Number 5 is Mystery Men. Mystery Men came out in 1999. Ben Stiller, Hank Azaria, Janine Garofalo was in it. William H. Macy. They just kind of, it's this group of dudes that just are ordinary dudes that are superheroes. There's one superhero who's in town, and he beat up all the bad guys, and now he needs something to work, so now he's causing problems, and they have to go after him. Anyways, number 4 is Tank Girl. Tank Girl came out in 1995.
Tank Girl, thank you very much, Daniel. You're my favorite in the world.
No.
Okay, let me explain. Let me go into it really quickly. I understand that Tank Girl is a little problematic. I watched it recently doing research for this list, and it was made in 1995, and you can tell. And Tank Girl is the comic that I have read, and I love it because I did not watch Tank Girl in 1995. I was a wee thing in 95, but I did watch it when I was 12. and that really kind of sparked my like little punk rock attitude. It was a terrible movie, but I really enjoyed it, and I'm a fan of bad movies. So I got into the character, and I got into the comic books, and the people who wrote the comic books absolutely hate the movie. And one of the guys who created the comic book actually created Gorillas. Jimmy Hewlett, I think is his name. And so that's my number 5 and my number 4.
I'm so glad you put Tank Girl on there.
It's so good.
I'm the same kind of thing. Like I was just like punk kid, and I like things that were weird, that movies that were not really, they were bad good movies.
Yeah.
So like I consider this to be like the Rocky Horror Picture Show of comic book movies, where it just developed over time and became a cult classic. But similar to like what you said, like it is kind of like very, it felt like you were reading the comic book in a way, it was really kind of like, but it felt its age.
Definitely.
So,
They pulled in.
when you watch it, it is watching like a low budget like 1995 90s movie when you're watching it, but just nostalgic purposes, and just it's a movie like that I also kind of like hold dear to my heart. That, and a movie that didn't make it into my top 5, but like Men in Black would be another movie like that.
So I really love Mystery Men. So excited that someone put it on there. I don't think it would be in my top like 10, 15, 20, I don't know. Like I don't think it's like that high up there, but like it's a really enjoyable movie for me at least. And I know nothing about Tank Girl, so I'm not going to contribute much to that conversation, but yeah, Mystery Men is definitely worth a watch.
Yeah, it's very funny, and it does show its kind of time, but I think it came out in 1999, so I don't think there was a big superhero sort of thing going on, and it kind of makes fun of that trope, and that was why I put it on the list.
Plus, Ice-T is as a kangaroo. I mean, where else are you going to see that?
Yeah, that's amazing. Ice-T is also in Tank Girl. He plays a mutated kangaroo. It's awesome.
Are you sure this isn't just your top 5 Ice-T movies?
It might be. It might be.
I'm looking forward to seeing what your 1 through 3 are, to see how Tank Girl beat a bunch of movies.
Well, okay, so these two are probably not good movies, but I think my 1, 2, and 3 are good movies. So
I mean, Mr. Man is good for one thing, and it's that it gave us Smash Mouth.
It blessed us with the meme.
I put that out of my memory a long time ago. Thanks, guys.
Boo! Smash Mouth is the best thing ever. Just like, right behind Nickelback, of course.
And everyone went silent. They just took everybody away.
You guys were just playing back Rockstar in your head, You just want to be big rock stars with the dun and then your 15 cars. Oh my god.
All right, so James, you're number 3 and 2.
No, throw it back to Danny so you can.
Oh, Danny, I'm sorry, Danny.
All right. Nickelback.
Nickelback is number 3.
Nickelback was on the soundtrack to one of these movies, but it was not this movie. It was Spider-Man 2 as my number 3. And in my
you're gonna put Daredevil in there.
Number 2 movie is Avengers.
Oh boy.
The original.
The original Avengers is so overrated, I'm sorry.
See, the thing is, it's not even my favorite MCU movie. But again, it's more about the impact that it made. This was a movie like my age. I was in college when freshman year of college, I believe, when Iron Man came out. So like to 2008. So like watching all these the first time where all these kind of like superheroes kind of like you kind of watch like a little mini series. You know, this was before the Infinity Wars that we have today. So just seeing like the first time seeing all the Avengers on the screen for the first time. That one little scene in New York, about in New York.
Oh Lord.
Come on. How can you not
Okay,
love
copyright.
We're already copyright stricken for our breaks. We're good.
Oh man.
Yeah, I guess that's like the Oscars, like my music being played off. So I guess I can't talk about the Avengers or for Spider-Man 2.
Oh, I should start doing that.
I'll throw it back to you, Danny. I'll just kind of say my piece and then I'll. But like, okay, Superman 2, like, it's fine.
Spider-Man.
Sorry, Spider-Man 2. Yeah, no, I know. I knew it's Spider-Man 2. I just said it wrong. But the main thing that like I like about Spider-Man 2 is it gave us that great like Mark Ellis moment in the Schmodown where he's like, Spider-Man 2, and it was the wrong answer. I think it was even specifically regarding Nickelback, the song. So that's like my biggest thing about Spider-Man 2.
Yeah, I feel like I need to talk more about. Feel like I didn't get enough to talk about Spider-Man 2.
Yeah. Now
for the longest amount of time, Spider-Man 2 was my favorite comic movie of all time. I loved the portrayal of Doc Ock. I thought that Peter Parker was the most honest that he was in that movie, where he was just the struggling guy, delivering pizzas, everything going wrong for him. That scene where they're on the subway, where he's holding back, and then is just to the point where he's exhausted, and the New Yorkers come together, and they kind of just realize this is a kid, you know. I live in New Jersey, so like I have like New York, New Jersey kind of like thing. So, you know, when I see that movie, I felt like I was like in that movie. So, and plus it had Dashboard Confessionals, Vindicated.
Oh, that's the best.
That's a very good song.
So there's just so much to love about Spider-Man 2. So if anybody wants to geek out and talk about Spider-Man 2, I would love to talk to them about it. I needed to put that on my list.
Do you want a Spider-Man 2 Iron Man match?
No, I'm really bad at trivia, but I just want people to watch that movie.
Oh, you'd be in the book version of Ready Player One, your movie of Spider-Man 2, and you have to act out the whole thing.
I'd do it. Yeah.
Line for line. Although I could probably do that for Scott Pilgrim, so I can't judge.
No judgment. So Avengers is actually my number 3. So I'll talk a little bit about it too. And I'll kind of echo what Danny said. It's not even my favorite MCU film. It may not even be my top. Well, it's probably like in the top 2 or 3, but like he said, like for me, like if I had to take one MCU film on an island and destroy every other MCU film that exists, I would have to take the Avengers for one, because Loki's in it and Loki is my ride or die. But also, yeah, it's just kind of one of those movies that can kind of exist on its own. And like to me, it may not be the best MCU film, but it's kind of the singular MCU film that if you had to pick one and get rid of the others, to me, I take the Avengers for the exact same reasons Danny said. That scene in New York when they kind of pan around and the music is going, like that's just kind of one of my favorite scenes of all time. And did I mention Loki? Because he is awesome. So yeah, so that's my number 3, and that's why.
And it introduced shawarma to the world too. So was another
and Loki.
reason why. And Loki. Well, no,
And
Loki wasn't
Hawkeye.
Thor, so technically we've seen Loki before.
The only thing it
But I-
introduced was the best version of the Hulk. And other than that, I mean, Loki is like really mentally unstable, and it totally wastes Hawkeye, the best character in all of the MCU. And
I
everyone
still
judging me
haven't
silently.
seen it.
What?
Yeah.
What?
Oh,
Yeah.
so we should have prefaced.
I'm so sorry, y'all.
Danielle, what are you doing?
There are a few MCU movies that I haven't seen, and the first Avengers is one of them. And I'm sorry.
I get you not seeing like Thor: The Dark World.
I haven't seen that.
That's fine. Or like the first Ant-Man. How have you not seen the Avengers?
I'm sorry. I'm a terrible MCU fan, but
This isn't even like a how could you not see this movie? Just
yeah,
how do you see the rest of the movies and not
I never
this
kept
one?
up with the movies when they first came out, and then my boyfriend now is a huge MCU fan, and he's the one who's really gotten me into it, and kind of explained the lore behind it, and that's what I love some lore.
Did you know you haven't seen this movie?
Yes, he gives me shit about it all the time. So.
Well, spoiler alert, they survive.
Well, I'm spoiled on all the movies that are out already. I have to.
So, spoiler, only one of them turns to dust at the end. Okay, and since you talked about Melissa, what's your number 2?
Okay, my number 2 is The Incredibles, which, I mean, I know it's not a direct adaptation,
Oh my goodness.
but what? What happened? Anyway, it's not a direct adaptation, but it's basically the Fantastic Four. So I considered it an adaptation. So yeah, and it's a good family movie. It's a good Pixar movie. It's just a good movie all around, and that's that.
I love that you picked that. The Incredibles is such a wonderful movie. It's in my top 5 Pixar films, and I love that you did that. That's so much fun. Yes, I like it. Incredibles is so good, man. Incredibles 2 was really good also. I liked it. But I liked the first Incredibles a little bit more.
Okay, go ahead and tell me how I'm breaking the rules.
You're breaking the rule. Like I'm with Danielle. It's probably the best made Pixar film. It's my number 2, right behind WALL-E. But it's not comic book.
If we could allow monster calls, I
That's the
am
one who
allowing.
hasn't read it or watched it.
There you go.
Okay, so most people
It's
say
about
Incredibles is the best iteration of Fantastic Four put to screen. So
It's the only one
by
that
that logic,
it's a pretty low bar to reach.
I'm just saying.
Also, The Incredibles is a low-key action movie, so they should little AMA shout out for that.
Oh, an Incredibles anime would be amazing.
Yeah. I've always thought about that. I've always tried to figure out like what Disney Pixar movies would work with AMA. I've tried to do that. And Incredibles works.
Well, WALL-E works too.
Yeah.
Well, he's not the smartest person in the room. I mean, from a certain point of view.
Maybe.
But either way, Melissa cheated, so she's eliminated.
No, you get 10 points to Gryffindor.
Boo, Gryffindor. Best house is Hufflepuff.
I'm a Gryffindor because I'm awesome.
Boo.
And because I'm brave enough. I'm brave enough to stand up to your tyranny.
Raven, I put a Monster Calls on here. Movie that no one's seen, which I'm pretty much backing it up on my own. Wait, Danny and Danielle, what are your houses?
I'm a
Slytherin. We
No.
discovered we're like twins.
No. All right.
Same name.
So we have to team up.
Yep.
Yes, high five.
Virtual high five.
Yeah, for sure.
For real, I wanted to be a Slytherin. I wanted to be a Slytherin so bad,
No.
and then
Slytherins are the worst.
Gryffindor.
We're the best. And my
Hufflepuffs
Patronus
are
is
the
an
best, without a
elephant.
doubt.
I love it.
Mine is a beaver.
Oh, that's nice.
And I'm a cat. All right. So
I guess we're
through that
going to you
massive
now.
amount of disappointment in my co-hosts for not being good houses, we already mentioned my number 2, Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, which is absolutely amazing. My number 3 is another film which I don't think anyone will have on their list. It's Blue is the Warmest Color, which is a graphic novel, so I'm not cheating, like Melissa.
Honorable mention right there.
Yeah. And it's not like one of those like rainy day comfort movies that I mentioned before, but it's such a beautiful, wonderful film. And it's I'm like into a series right now called Love on Netflix, and it's like Blue Woman's Color also occupies that gap of just like making a relationship feel so real. And I also have a slight personal affinity for it because I performed one of the scenes in my high school drama class, which shows you how young I am. And it was such a raw thing to emulate and copy. And it has some of the just incredibly, like, some of the best performances I've ever seen. It's what made me fall in love with French cinema. Léa Seydoux and Adele Exarchopoulos are wonderful actresses who, whenever I see their names on a film, I immediately take an interest because I know how much potential they have. And it's just, I love it, just unabashedly.
I'm going to just talk about Blue is the Warmest Color too. Yeah, I adore that movie too. I think when I put my rankings of 2013, that's like my number one movie of that year. Yeah, I just think it's such a beautifully made film, and it is. And if you ever read like the adaptation, the comics, like it really does feel like it's like written off the page, the graphic novel to the, and the performances are just like phenomenal too. So, I'm with you on that one. And it was really hard for me to keep that off my top 5 list. But when I was making my list, I was coming up with experience and just like overall like the time. Like, so some movies that are on my top 5 may not actually be my favorite movies, but in terms of a whole experience and forms of adaptations and stuff, that's where I made my list. But Bloom of the Warmest Color would be on my list if I had. It's on my top 10 for sure.
Danielle and Melissa, have you guys seen it?
I have not.
I have not.
All right, so it sounds like a movie night. Avengers, Blue is the Warmest Color.
Yeah.
You know, one time you're crying out of joy, one time you're crying out of sadness. You know, it's a great double feature.
If it's a movie that'll make me cry, I will watch it.
Oh my! It
will
is
make
going to
you
make
cry.
you cry. It's not like
Yes.
it's not as bad as Monster Calls, but if you get invested in the romance, it is going to destroy.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. And Danielle, what are your 3 and 2?
Alrighty. So real quick, before I forgot that I got to say that Lori Petty is in Tank Girl, and I had a huge major crush on her growing up. She was in A League of Their Own, Free Willy, Point Break, and Tank Girl. I love Lori Petty. So my number
I put
3.
Point Break on my list just because it's Point Break.
Yeah.
Yes.
I love that movie. It's one of my all-time favorite movies.
Yes.
Yes. My number 3 happens to be a Keanu Reeves movie. It is Constantine.
Oh, I haven't seen that.
Yeah, that's my number 3.
Interesting.
So, I know that Constantine the movie is a bad adaptation of the graphic novel. So, but I love the movie. I really like the movie. I know some people are on the fence about it, but Keanu Reeves is one of my just favorite people in the world, and it's a really great movie. It looks really good. Tilda Swinton is in it, and that's kind of like what gave her a really big push into mainstream. And it's just a great movie. I really like it. I know that it's not true to the comic, but that I put it on this list because I thought it's one of my favorite movies. So that's why I wanted to put it on there. And my number 2 is Ninja Turtles. I just put the Ninja Turtle movies because I like all 3 of them. The 3 from the 90s, not any of the other ones, but those 3 movies.
Fourth one?
No.
Is
No.
Time the third one?
It was the Ninja Turtles, then the Secret of the Ooze, and then they went to Japan.
Yeah.
That was the original.
Time.
So it's funny
Yes.
because people always talk about the third one like it's so bad. I actually like the third one, so
I
it's
do
like
too.
exciting to
Thank
it's
you.
exciting to find someone who doesn't hate the third Ninja Turtles movie.
I enjoy it. It's not the best out of the 3 of them, but I really enjoyed it. I thought it was fun. I was really invested into that franchise anyway. Like, Ninja Turtles were my shit growing up. I loved it very much. I watched the cartoon when I was a kid. I had a bunch of like sweaters and just memorabilia of the turtles. It was one of my favorite things growing up. I still like turtle is one of my favorite animals because I got into the Ninja Turtles when I was a kid. So I wanted to put that as my number 2 because it's a franchise that's near and dear to my heart, and I know that it started, as a comic book that was kind of poking at the trope of superheroes in the same kind of light that Mystery Men did. So I liked it, and even with like the Foot Clan, that's supposed to be opposite of like the Hand. So I like that about Ninja Turtles, and that's my number 2.
Yeah, and those comics are kind of dark too. If you ever seen some of them.
I need to get into them.
Yeah. Yeah, the Turtles kind of was my life too. I had a Michelangelo baseball action figure. That was like my favorite thing. And the video games, I think, were permanent. Like the arcade games, I think I spent so many quarters and so much money on them.
I think I still have a VHS of like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles like stage show or something like that. I don't know if you guys ever saw that, but I think I still have the VHS. And yeah, Turtles are awesome.
Turtles in a half shell.
Turtle power.
Yeah. So 2 of my movies have a dance and music breakdown in the middle of them. Ninja Turtles Part 2 has that awesome turtle rap scene. Y'all know it. Everyone loves it. Tank Girl also has a little breakdown scene. So lots of song and dance numbers and a lot of my favorite movies.
All right, so
also, sorry, real quick, I just want to, like Danny said earlier too, like these aren't necessarily like my favorite movies. These are just movies that I really enjoy.
So before we get on number 1, Danny, do you want to recap your list?
Sure. And did you want me to just read off some of my honorable mentions too?
No, do your 5 through 2, and we can talk about your number 1.
Okay. So, rounding off number 5, I have Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. Number 4, I have Ghost World. At 3, I have Spider-Man 2. Number 2, I have the original Avengers. And my number 1 is Old Boy. It's based off a manga.
Good
and
choice.
It's my number 1 film.
See, I'm not going to say it's a bad movie. However, it's nowhere near my top, not even top 20. I had to watch it for my film course in college, and I was honestly bored, which I didn't think could happen in that movie. I feel like everyone's mad at me.
Yeah, I just quit.
I just don't think we have much to say about like I know I'm not familiar with Old Boy, so
I feel like it's hard to say to really kind of get into. That's a movie that I don't want to spoil for people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
it's definitely a movie like I,
It's
a
an
movie I
experience.
want more people to watch, so that's why I want to bring it in attention. But
Yeah.
it's one of those movies that I watched and it kind of was just like it shook me. So
Yeah.
when I watched that movie, I was just like, there's like scenes in there that I vividly remember, and like that's like old boy to me. Like I picture it in my head, and it just left such an impact on me. So it was really hard. I know people are gonna hate me because I didn't put like Dark Knight. I didn't put any like X-Men movies. I didn't put like a lot of recent movies. So, but actually, Dark Knight was my number 6. So I know people are gonna be pissed off on the comments probably, but I need to put Old Boy now.
Danny.
Thank you.
So disappointed in you, but then again, you are a Slytherin.
I'm all about making chaos here. So, Melissa's, what's your number recap and your number 1? I guess because nobody else wants to talk about it.
Okay, so number 5 is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2: Secret of the Use. Number 4, Captain America: Civil War. Number 3 is The Avengers. Number 2 is The Incredibles. And number 1, I really wanted to go with The Last Airbender, but I decided to go. I'm trying to come up with something unique, but I just had to go with The Dark Knight because that is my favorite. Just so many great performances. I think Aaron Eckhart as Harvey Dent is kind of criminally underrated in that movie. And I mean, we can get into probably a long discussion on it because I know it was in a lot of people's top 5s, but to me, that's kind of the bar by which everything else is compared.
And just to add it is also my number 1, so you won't have any arguments from me for once. But I echo your sentiment. Like, I don't want to call it underrated, but people do hate on it because it's like, if it wasn't for without the Joker or Heath Ledger, it would just be a terrible movie. Everyone would forget about it. It is such a brilliantly composed film, even outside of the general story and the Bale's Batman. Just the sound design and the cinematography and all the technical aspects that went into the film are brilliant. And I forgot what channel did it, but someone did a video covering just that scene through the tunnel with Batman's tumbler and the Joker in the truck as they chase Dent. And just the scene is designed brilliantly, and the entire film is about that. And this is just removing Ledger's Joker, which is one of the best villains of all time.
Not only villain, but like character study of a character in a movie.
I really enjoyed Aaron Eckhart in that movie, and after the transformation from Harvey Dent to Two-Face, the makeup and just like not the makeup, but like how they did his face, I thought it looked so much like the cartoon and the comic version of it. I thought they did a really good job with that.
And I found it really kind of, they did it so well because I found myself rooting for, not rooting for, Bruce to get the girl, which was kind of an odd situation, but you kind of find yourself, rooting for Harvey and Rachel to be together, which, I mean, maybe not you guys feel the same way, but I kind of felt oh, they're really nice together. And it makes you feel really invested in this whole character arc that they've created. So they were able to balance not necessarily romance, but they were able to balance kind of the real life with kind of the spectacle pretty well.
And before I go spoiling it, Danielle, you have seen this one, right?
Yes.
Okay, good. And just sort of tagging on to Melissa's idea of falling for Harvey and Oh, what's her name?
Rachel.
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 Right. Yeah, for Harvey and Rachel.
Rachel,
though.
where's Rachel?
Where's Rachel? Where is she? Yeah. Just and the scene where she gets blown up. It just like it is this idea of you really want both Batman and Harvey to succeed, and they both just get ruined. And the film is constantly just surrounded by these ideas of if completely going against what you expect to happen. With the bomb on the boat at the end, or Alfred or not Alfred. Oh, I'm forgetting his name. The tech guy, Morgan Freeman.
Fox.
Lucius Fox.
Yeah, Lucius Fox, and him actually leaving Bruce after the creation of the not infrared, but like the whatever the weird
Wire.
3D technology.
Oh, because it was monitoring the calls.
Yeah, it has all
the
these
movie tackled so many different things, and it is probably in the echelon of cinema, like modern cinema.
Absolutely, and I know I'm not going off of like importance, rather my own personal like taste and enjoyment. But this film helped change the superhero landscape forever. Say what you will about Iron Man, which came out the same year, but like even beyond superheroes, this changed modern cinema.
And it saved, I mean, honestly, you could argue that it saved not necessarily maybe DC Comics, but DC as an entity cinematically. Like, it was in the, I mean, not necessarily the Dark Knight, but just kind of the whole trilogy. I mean, with the way that the last Batman stories were left, it was in the basement of, no one really wanted to touch it. And it brought it out of the basement and actually made it a franchise that people could want to see again. So, I mean, the DCEU, say what you will about it, whether you like it or whether you think it's but the Dark Knight trilogy at least made it palatable for the DCEU to even exist.
Yeah, and I think you touched on something really important, is that it really did change superhero movies I thought of, because it's especially for DC, because before this you have Batman and Robin, which destroyed the Batman brand, at least in movies. Meanwhile, on the superhero resurgence, you have the X-Men films, which sadly none of us got into, or the Spider-Man films. Marvel is dominating the comic book movie genre. Meanwhile, between Batman Begins and Batman and Robin, you had movies like Kazam, Steel, Tank Girl, and all these movies that are just flopping for DC and other smaller comic book companies.
Blade 3.
Blade's a Marvel film.
Yeah, but I'm just saying in terms of flop.
Yeah. Well,
Blade
Trinity. Blade did
Blade
good at
2
the
was
box
good.
office.
Yeah, I'm talking about the third one. The really
Yeah.
crappy one. It's
Yeah,
Ryan Reynolds.
like Batman Begins and to a greater extent The Dark Knight really helped validate DC again as a brand. And take her to leave it the DCEU. But I think without Batman Begins, you wouldn't have the DC like the actual challenge of Marvel versus DC we have today. Not to mention, we would have lost Christopher Nolan, which would have been horrible.
Yeah.
Do you guys want to add anything else, or does Danielle want to complete our list?
We could also say Dark Knight is definitely important, and if it wasn't for Oldboy, that would be my number one movie.
Oh, before I forget, my top 5. My number 5 is A Monster Calls, which you all need to see. My number 4 is Avengers: Infinity War. My number 3 is Blue is the Warmest Color. My number 2 is Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. Thank you, Danny. And my number 1 is The Dark Knight.
Yay!
Okay. Go ahead, Danielle. What's your number 1? Recap the list for us.
All right. So my number 5 was Mystery Men, 4 Tank Girl, 3 Constantine, 2 Ninja Turtles, and my number 1 pick is probably a movie that is definitely in my top 5 all-time favorite movies. I think it is wonderful, and Captain America himself is in it. It's Snowpiercer.
Yes,
Oh,
beautiful movie.
Snowpiercer is a very beautiful movie. It's definitely one of my favorites. I enjoy it very much. Another Tilda Swinton movie. Um, um, Chris Evans is in it. There's other
Swinton.
people in it. Tilda Swinton is in it. What's his name?
Max von Sydow, I think, is in it.
Yes, the three-eyed crow himself. It's a great movie, so I wanted to pick that as my number one. It is also a graphic novel that I have not read, but it's a French novel, and I will not dare try to butcher the French name of it, but it's Snowpiercer in French, basically. So I thought that was really neat about that, and it looks beautiful, and it does look like something that I would like to read and enjoy. So.
Again, that was an honorable mention for me as well. I just love like the whole class system of the train, um, the cinematography, the snow out in just the train and everything about it. Yeah, it's a good movie.
Yeah, it's a good movie.
I could talk on for a long time about that, but
Yeah, and I will say this is actually another film I had to watch from the same class. Actually, I mentioned before, and just again, I'm not a big fan of this one. It could just be I'm racist against Koreans.
you must
As
be.
we can tell, I'm a terrible person because I also hate women. But Bong Joon-ho is just a wonderful filmmaker, and
Yes.
I think movies like Snowpiercer and Old Boy really help validate the medium of graphic novels, because we can take these, these sprawling epics and turn them into these brilliant small films that, like, we forget the graphic novels, and they can be adapted and respected without any knowledge or bias of its source material.
Okay, so do we want to talk about some of the other hosts that couldn't make it? Their
Here,
top fives?
yeah. So yeah. So some of our other hosts wanted to send in their list as well, since they couldn't make it. And Danny actually has them. So Danny, you want to read off their list?
Yeah, sure. We'll start off with Helene's. She put for her honorable mention. She put Guardians 1 and 2, Winter Soldier, Civil War, the first Thor, and Infinity War. And her top 5, she put The Dark Knight. And in number 4, she put Deadpool. Number 3, she put Black Panther. At 2, she put The Avengers. And her number 1 movie of all time is Thor Ragnarok.
Boy, I do not like that first Thor movie at all. Like, I don't know what it is. Maybe I was just murdered by too much Brana when I watched his version of Hamlet. And it's just, honestly, I think I posted about it on Twitter a while ago. If it wasn't for Thor: The Dark World, Thor would fill that spot of the worst MCU movie by far.
It's probably because of Jane. Just too much Jane.
Well, that has bleached eyebrows.
I actually don't mind Thor, the first Thor, but Jane just about drives me crazy. Like, I'm just like,
Oh, Natalie Portman, yeah, she drives me crazy too.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, Danielle, have you seen any of Helene's top 5?
I have. I've seen. I love Black Panther. I thought that was such a great movie. I was really into it. That was kind of right around when Black Panther came out. That was kind of right around the time that I was really starting to get into the whole universe and stuff like that. So I enjoyed that movie very, very much. And I have seen the first Thor film. I saw it a long time ago, and I remember liking it. But I did not see the second one. I still haven't seen the second one, and I loved Thor Ragnarok. I thought that was a lot of fun. I'm a huge Jeff Goldblum fan, so I loved it. I thought it was fun.
Yeah, and it's Black Panther is one of my honorable mentions as well, and I just wanted to set some time aside. A lot of people think Wonder Woman was such a cultural revelation for them, but I have never felt such a moment of history wash over me as when I was sitting in the theater for Black Panther. I saw it in IMAX, sold out, and there is the pan up of T'Challa's first, sort of like a test, like claiming his kinghood of Wakanda, and hearing the music and seeing everyone in their like semi-traditional African garb. It was an amazing experience, and even like, and this is ignoring the fact that the film is like so amazingly composed with one of the greatest villains in comic book history. Just it is such a special moment, and like something I honestly think I'll never get to experience again, just because of how powerful and just amazing it felt being in the theater and getting to experience that.
Yeah, it definitely
Yeah,
was
and
a special feeling seeing it in the theater. I don't think I would have had the same amount of love of that movie if I didn't see it in the theater with people that may never even have watched a single comic book movie before, a superhero movie, but people of all ages, just like you said, wearing traditional garments, and really, it's just a sense of pride, and just it just felt like I was honored to be kind of like invited into their world.
yeah, like, well, I can't say that I necessarily had the same experience with Black Panther as you guys did. Like, for one, my theater was like a quarter full, and for two, like, it's just not the same kind of like experience necessarily. But coming back to, like, I really liked Black Panther. The third act was, there were just a couple issues I had with the third act that felt odd. Um, but honestly, like, for me, I actually had the opposite experience where, to me, it felt like it felt like a movie. It didn't feel, because I actually had friends ask me, like, does it feel like a forced like agenda or something like that? And I told them, like, no, it doesn't feel like that at all. It feels like a natural movie. It doesn't feel like, it doesn't feel like it has a point to it, beyond just being an enjoyable movie. So I actually appreciated that. And I know, like, there is kind of some cultural importance to it. Obviously, there's a lot of cultural importance to it, but like, going back to Wonder Woman, because that was one of my kind of honorable mentions, even though, like, I'm not crazy about Wonder Woman. I love the first two acts. The third act I despise. So I give it like maybe a 6, but like the first two acts I would put in my top 5 all day. But the third act just killed it. But for me,
Yeah.
I had that like I had that cultural experience with Wonder Woman where, like, I walked into my theater and there were like 13, 14-year-old boys like just waiting in line, waiting for popcorn, whatever. And like I almost like cried because like it felt like such an achievement to have all these like teenage boys there for a superhero movie that was a woman, but they didn't care because it was a superhero movie. And like it was so like it was just kind of like a surreal moment. So like I can not, and not to compare like one and the other, but like I can definitely see how like Black Panther is definitely sort of the hallmark for one experience, and I can see how some people consider Wonder Woman a hallmark for a completely different experience. So I think they both have a place at the table.
Okay, shall we go on to the next list now? Or Danielle, do you have anything to say? Or
Yeah, I feel the same way about Black Panther as you, Danny, and I definitely feel the same way about Wonder Woman as you, Melissa. Yeah.
Also, Thor Ragnarok is amazing.
It is, yes.
It's definitely top 5 MCU. I think it's just there's a lot of clout that you have to get through to be top 5 comic book movies. But like, it's probably top 10. It's great. It's just amazing.
And Loki.
yes, look, and Jeff
And
Goldblum.
Valkyrie.
Jeff
And
Goldblum.
Jeff Goldblum, yes.
All of that.
That Goldblum is my aesthetic. All right. We're gonna go on to Nat's now. Nat also in his honorable mention, he had Black Panther, as well as the Winter Soldier. I don't know if anyone brought that one up yet, but so his top five, number 5, he has Batman Under the Red Hood. That's a animated movie. Number 4, he has Spider-Man: Homecoming. 3, he has Civil War. At number 2, The Dark Knight, and his number 1 is Logan, which is very interesting because none of us had Logan in our list. So
Yeah, and that felt so bad to leave off. It's honestly my number 6. I adore the film. It's such an emotional experience for me as well. But I don't know, something about that corn syrup bit, like it barely sours is enough to miss the top 5. But it's my it's in my honorable mention too. It's such an amazing film that, like I said before, it has such a heart that I can't ignore. It is so great.
yeah, and see, the reason why I didn't put it in my top 5 is because I think what a lot of people, when they make these lists, probably are thinking the same thing, that it's more than just a comic book movie. It's basically a Western movie that features Wolverine in it. Professor Xavier. It features the X-Men, but there's so much more to it than just, the X-Men movies when it comes to it. So when I watch that movie, I'm not really thinking about comic book movies. I know that it's loosely based on the Old Man Logan, and there are a little bit of like comic book references and stuff, but that scene when X-23 quotes Shane at the end, I mean, that movie just makes me cry all the time.
I finally got to see Shane for the first time in theaters like a week or so ago, and I get it. I get the sort of allegories they made, but Logan's a better film, so it feels a little awkward. Although if we were to do like top 5 westerns, Shane would probably be like number 2.
Yeah, Shane is good Western, but Danielle or Melissa, do you have anything to say about Nat's list? Maybe about the Homecoming or Logan, some ones that we haven't put on our list.
I loved Logan. I thought it was a great movie. I definitely cried a lot. It was really good. I thought it was well acted. I'm a fan of Hugh Jackman. Daphne Keane seems awesome. She was awesome in that movie, so I gotta give her good props. She's gonna be in something with Lin-Manuel Miranda coming up, and I'm pretty excited about that. Spider-Man: Homecoming was so much fun. I loved it. I love Tom Holland. I think he's super cute, and it was a really good time, and it felt like only because I'm just now kind of starting to get into like comic book movies and stuff like that. This is kind of like my first Spider-Man. I watched the other movies. I did not watch the ones that Andrew Homeboy was in.
Andrew Garfield.
There we go. And I didn't watch those, but I liked it. I liked Homecoming a lot. I thought it was a lot of fun.
Same, like with Homecoming, I know that you're gonna give me a lot of flack for this, but to me, Michael Keaton, I put him way up there as far as villains. I think I might even put him higher than Killmonger. Like, I just thought he killed it. I think he just killed it, and like he just elevated the movie so much. And I hate to use a John Roca word, but like it just felt like the movie had the fun that Danielle was talking about, just like being a fun movie.
Had gravitas.
I was getting ready to say it. But Michael Keaton just like he gave it the gravitas it needed. So I actually put him above Michael B. Jordan's for longer. That's just me.
Ooh.
Yeah, Michael
Logan
Keaton
is
was
one-
definitely in his element.
Logan is one of those things where I like it a lot, but I feel like I'm gonna have to marinate on it for at least like a couple more years before I can like say definitively where it is in my, you know what I mean? Like it's gonna take a couple years before I know like where it settles in my top 10, 15, 20. But it's a solid choice for sure.
All right, and now we're moving on to IXS. For her honorable mention, she put Deadpool 2, Justice League Dark. I guess it's one of the animated movies.
Yeah.
I've never seen it or heard of it. And Infinity War. Rounding off her top 5, she has Thor Ragnarok at number 5. Another cartoon movie, Justice League versus the Teen Titans. Black Panther. Under the Red Hood is her number 2, and her number 1 is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2.
I'm glad someone else
So
loves the
there's a
Guardians
lot.
movies. Like, I mean, they're Guardians 2 is my number 1 MCU movie. As much as people rag on it, I think it's honestly just a great film that I still don't understand why people bog down on it. I think it's I think it's high and above one of the best comic book movies ever because of how much it develops characters.
Oh, totally
Yeah.
cred.
Yeah. Oh my god, that wrecked me. But
100% cred.
yeah, but I remember Gunn said like prior to the film's release that it's a second act of a story. Like and the 3 films are 3 acts. So what we're saying here is the character development and like motives change or not motives like powers changing and everything. I feel like it's a brilliantly composed movie that everyone sort of looks over for no good reason other than it's honestly I can't think of a
Too
good reason.
jokey.
Yeah, too
The
jokey.
excuse is that's too jokey, or it's not as great as the first movie, which the first movie was one of the best like debut films of like a series of characters that was like unexpected.
Yeah, I liked both of the Guardian movies, and Guardians of the Galaxy 2 definitely was a fun movie. I like movies that get me into the characters and make me feel about the characters, and I think that Guardians 1 set it up very nice for Guardians 2 to be in there with the characters. And for me, it kind of seemed like Mantis flowed in there easily. I liked how she came in. It didn't feel awkward, and I'm glad that she was around. I like her.
And we could talk about Yondu's story as well, and that whole his whole arc, how it went full circle, and just the revelation that he may have been your daddy, but he wasn't your father.
Cried.
Mm-hmm.
I'm crying now.
Mm.
When they came back and gave him the honors for the funeral, I just bawled like a baby.
Oh, like a baby.
Yeah, yes.
I know you said it like Michael Scott. It's like, can I hold the baby? Yeah. I've watched too much Office.
I love The Office. It's fun.
So, any of the other ones that you've seen? Any of the animated movies have you seen, guys?
Actually,
Red Hood,
I was
that
getting
was in
ready
Matt's
to.
one, and Justice League.
I was getting ready to bring that up. Like, I did notice that they both brought up animated movies, and this was not in my like top whatever list, but Batman: Mask of the Phantasm, I think probably deserves
Amazing.
mention. It like I mean not to discredit the animated movies that they chose, but since I did choose animated movies, it kind of opens the door for us to discuss like Batman, Mask of the Phantasm and stuff like that. So yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I've seen a lot of the animated movies. I've seen Under the Red Hood, but I haven't seen like the Teen Titan one or the Justice League Dark. So I'm assuming those are more modern ones. But I've seen like the Dark Knight Returns, the Mask of the Phantasm. That's are two of the best. I like DC animated movies. I'm not gonna lie. Like Flashpoint movie was pretty good as well.
I don't hate the Killing Joke, by the way. Like, I know it's not like very good, but
Well, 2/3 of it are good. That first third is, you know,
Yeah, if you
in high
ignore the whole
school, did you
beginning
have sex
backstory
with
of Batgirl,
Batman?
it's a decent movie.
Is that it, or do we have someone else to read off?
That's it of our guys. I do have a couple. I did make a post on the main page of a couple of people who have, a couple of listeners who have come up with their own list. If you want me to read a couple of them before we
First,
sign out.
First, I think we should get through the rest of our honorable mentions, even though we did go through a few, because I know we're running a bit long.
Okay.
I have three that no one's mentioned yet. The original X-Men, which I like a little bit more than X2, although I need to like revisit the whole franchise to really solidify that. Watchmen, which I think is just a fantastic movie on its own, which does run a bit long, but that's a takeaway of how great it is. And the best movie in the DCEU canon, Batman v Superman.
oh god.
Okay. You're talking about the regular version or the director's cut?
I've only seen the regular version. I haven't gotten around to seeing the extended cut. But the people who don't like it, y'all are high. I don't know what you're on, but it's a great movie. Has like all the performances are great. I love the complexity brought to the story, and I honestly really like. I wouldn't call Jesse Eisenberg's performance a Lex Luthor, like the traditional version we see, but the way he plays, like beaten down by his father and told to be something greater, I think it's just great. Like sort of build up for what he does or at least what he does in the film. Like we'll see what he does in the franchise in the future. But yes, BVS is better than a bunch of movies.
Wonder Woman.
The Avengers.
I had on my list The Rocketeer.
Oh, is that a comic book?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it's an older one. That's an older movie. I really like that movie a lot. And 300 was also in my honorable mentions.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Melissa, do you have your honorable mentions? Or Daniel, do you have any more? Was that all yours?
No,
That's it. That's all.
I do. So my honorable mentions, well, I already mentioned Wonder Woman. That was kind of on there as well. Dick Tracy.
Yes.
Which
Madonna.
It's not a great movie. It's a good movie. Like it's a decent movie, but I thought it was like a little bit different of a kind of genre. It's a little bit different like than sort of like other comic book things. And I don't even know that this counts as a comic book. It's more of a comic strip that was adapted, but I kind of went with it. It's just a little bit of a different kind of plot than some of the other stuff. So I included that. And then my last one that I included, which it would have been in my top 5, but with The Incredibles, I didn't want to like press my luck, but I almost chose Sky High, which is not actually not actually an well, I know, but it's not actually an adaptation of really anything. It's just like some of the characters and the plots and the character arcs and stuff like that are pretty direct from like a variety of different comic books. So like I wanted to put it in my top 5 because I think it borrows enough from existing comic book franchises that it could probably pass. But since it's not technically an adaptation, and I was already doing that with The Incredibles, I decided to be good and leave it off. But it would definitely be in my top 5 if I wanted to push the envelope.
If we do top 5 superhero movies, you're definitely getting that on the list.
It's definitely on the list.
Okay, and I guess I'll read off my honorable mentions. I mentioned this earlier, but I put Blue as the warmest color. Hellboy 2, The Golden Army.
Oh.
Watchmen, also.
Yeah.
I put Road to Perdition. That's actually a graphic novel too, and I believe that's one of Tom Hanks' best performances. So, and The Dark Knight. That's my number 6.
Honorable mention.
I was really surprised to find out that Road to Perdition was a graphic novel. Whenever I was trying to look up stuff for this, I saw that, I came across that, and Road to Perdition is probably the only Tom Hanks movie that I haven't seen, and so that was. But I've always heard that it was really good, so I really do need to watch it. So I'm glad that you put that in your honorable mentions.
All right, Danny, so you want to get to listener feedback?
Oh yeah. Okay. So I'll read one from our Action Army listeners. Paul Oyama. He's part of the chat, and he listed at number 5 Logan. At number 4 he put Old Boy. Number 3 he put Blue's the warmest color. So I'm sure James is happy about that.
Yeah.
Number 2 Akira.
Oh,
And number 1 he put The Dark Knight.
I wish I'd seen him. I wish I've seen I haven't seen like any anime other than like Spirited Away and Your Name, both of which I've seen in the past year. My film anime is very limited.
I can give you a little bit of a rundown.
There you go. I love Akira.
All
I
right,
saw it for the first time this year. It's a great movie.
Yeah, and it still holds up. It's from like a movie from the 80s, but
1984.
it definitely brought that whole punk kind of futuristic kind of feeling.
Damn, 88.
If anyone saw Ready Player One, it was the bike was in that movie.
Yes,
Yeah.
that
It's one of the
terrible
Easter eggs.
film.
Akira is one of those movies that I wish I would have seen when I was younger, so I could have had it with me for like just life in general. I really like that movie a lot, and I'm bummed that I'm just now seeing it. So that's a really good movie.
Okay. We have another listener, Dustin Tyler Geisler. He put at number 5 Superman 78, so that's the first Superman. Old Boy also at number 4. Akira at 3. Spider-Man 2 and The Dark Knight. So there's a lot of people who agree with you that The Dark Knight is one of the biggest films.
Have you guys seen the original Superman?
Yeah, I love that movie. I put
I've
Superman
never
2
seen it.
higher, but
Yeah, it's just strange to me that none of us put Superman 78 on here.
I
would have
mean
put
that's
Superman 2
it's lower.
if
It's
I
like in my
that
top.
was.
Yeah. Or Batman 89 for that.
Superman 2 I liked better than. Okay. I'm just trying to see. I don't want to keep getting the same repeats. Patrick Harden. He had a very interesting list. He had at number 5, 30 Days a Night. The Crow at number 4. Men in Black at 3. He had Road to Perdition at 2 and The Mask as his number 1. So I saw that list. That was pretty interesting.
I thought about The Mask too. That's a good movie. I like Jim Carrey in that movie, and Cameron Diaz's debut. That's her film debut, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, I actually did find out. She was in a porno before The Mask.
Oh
So I'm
man.
not sure if they would count that as a film debut. But yeah, like
Well, okay.
like Sylvester Stallone was in a porno and was renamed Italian Stallion after Rocky.
So now we went to Call to Action After Dark.
Yeah, this is the spin-off Call to Porn.
Oh no.
Oh yeah, it's coming next. Coming.
Porn to
Oh
action.
Coming too
God.
soon. All right. On to the next one. I guess we could just move on because we're gonna be canceled anyway. But fuck it. Let's see. Matthew Epperly. He has at number 5, X-Men: Days of Future Past. I don't think any of us put an X-Men movie in any of our top movies. Spider-Man: Homecoming. He had Infinity War, Logan, and The Dark Knight. So a lot of Dark Knight. So obviously that's a very popular film. And we'll read one more. And anybody want to talk about Days of Future Past or the X-Men franchises before I move on?
I was
Yeah,
really
I
into
guess.
it whenever they first came out. The X-Men cartoon was one of my favorite cartoons to watch when I was a kid. So I was really looking forward to it, and then it just kind of dropped off. There's too many.
Yeah, I mean, the movies are not really my favorite thing, but even X2 would probably be my favorite of the X-Men series. And let's read Anthony Gonzalez's one because that was a pretty interesting one. He has number 5, Kick-Ass, Infinity War at number 4, Superman 2. So someone did actually have a Superman 2 on their list. Logan at 2, and The Winter Soldier is his number 1.
Wait, what was his number 5?
Kick-Ass.
Yeah, I caught the first Kick-Ass around the same time I got the first X-Men. It's such a fun movie, and the I don't know what to call it, but like the night vision sequence with Hit Girl saving Kick-Ass and Big Daddy. It's you don't expect a film like that to have such like a technically great scene, but it's so well put together, and the stakes are great. I actually really love the villain. Kick-Ass is like it's a super underrated movie.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Hit Girl is definitely a cool character. When she says the C word, I think a lot of people are just like, whoa, this is like a 9-year-old saying the C word. And Nick Cage was badass. That's Big
Nick
Daddy.
Cage's
So
best role since National Treasure 2, Book of Secrets.
he is a national treasure, just period.
Winter Soldier
Okay.
is my boyfriend's favorite movie, so I'm sad that I didn't mention it.
Wow.
But yeah, that's his favorite MCU movie. So props to Winter Soldier.
All right. So we're running out of time, so I'm just gonna read a couple of interesting choices. A couple of people chose 300. Sin City was a choice for someone. Someone actually put a Shadow, which was really interesting because that movie. I don't think anyone really has ever even heard of that movie.
Better than The Spirit.
What else? Oh, and Thomas Risker put Scott Pilgrim vs. the World 5 times. So obviously he's a huge fan of that movie.
He is our one true fan.
Yeah. So thank you to everybody who contributed to the lists. If we didn't get a chance to read them off, we were just running really late. And thanks.
Oh my god, it's so late. Yeah, so
I like talking about comic book movies than the actual matches. So
yeah, so this is us signing off. You guys plug your social media. Tell people where to find you.
Why don't we start with Danielle because she's the newest.
Yes, newbie Danielle, who almost certainly got us canceled. Tell us where we can find you.
You can find me on Twitter at Danny Joy, DANIEEJOY. Follow me there.
Okay, and you can follow me on Twitter at DKPKP. That's DKPKP. Also on Instagram at Danny_22.
Okay, and I'm on Facebook on the Movie Trivia Schmodown and Action Army Facebook pages.
Yes. And you can find me on Twitter at Temecula Film Guy. That is at TEMECULA Film Guy. And yeah, also don't forget to check out Ben and Andrew. You can find Ben at Ben David Media and Andrew at Andrew Guy. Also, feel free to check out our Twitter page at Call to Action Pod, I believe. Also, check out the Action Movie Anatomy Twitter, which actually got a new Twitter handle, I believe. I don't remember what that is. And don't forget to check out the Action Movie Anatomy Facebook page, as well as the Action Army fan page. And this week on Action Movie Anatomy, I believe they're covering Mission Impossible Fallout, which I cannot wait to see this week. Any final
For sure, I
before we
heard
say
a lot
goodbye?
of interesting things.
Yeah. Well, I believe that is it. So we will catch you next week with, hopefully, special guests. Adios.
Bye.
Bye.